Oh, there you go.
Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya 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 hey ha yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Uki Epino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi no yo yo wata pevi hagi ktabi ichachi ya bino hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ugi Epino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi no yo yo wata pevi hagi ktabi ichachi ya bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha hey yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Uki Epino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi no yo yo wata pevi hagi ktabi ichachi ya bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha hey yo hey yo hey yo Fort Peck Community College Uki Epino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi no yo yo wata pevi hagi ktabi ichachi ya bino hey yo
How me takepi ake dawa chia kapido Elijah Hopkins dim ye wana wakchinja wakpa dechia wakchinja wakpa ons pe wankantu ya dechia da ya hipido me takepi. Hello relatives, again welcome to the Buffalo
Hey,
Chasers
Ro.
podcast.
Dakodia unspenicia and
How hechitu naku Dakota chaje Dakodie unspemichie makupido Dakodie unspemichie hemiedo. Oh, hoka. Relatives, again, this is Elijah Hopkins. I'm joined by Dekshi, Mr. Tommy Christian. We're streaming at you live from Fort Peck Community College on September the 2nd here. We thank you for joining us today. I have a few, for those of you that are following us on our webinar podcast, if you're following us online through our Facebook live stream, I got a few photos here. Figured just for the heck of it, we would show our workshop where we had some of our Buffalo Chaser crew here with us. So maybe I'll share more of that later on. But so again, welcome relatives. Thank you for joining us. Maybe before we get started here, we could ask Dekshi, Tommy, if you would share a prayer with us in a good way, if you could, please.
How whoopila tushka daya chano. How mitaki epi daya hippie. Ambe tukile michante tawaglake nahana pechuzapelo. Ohe chaje mita wamnisha ge doba imachapi. Hi, my relatives, welcome. On this day, I'm going to speak to you from my heart. I offer you all my hand. My Nakota name is Eagle Claw, but they also refer to me as Four. So I carry two names, and in a good way, I try to represent as well as I know how in remembrance of those that bestowed me with such good things as a name, a Nakota name, a Dakota name. And then again, it helps me to kind of restore that dignity and honor within myself to be able to share it in a good way. So on this day, the teachings that I share with you are not mine. I can't claim them. I can't write a book and copyright them and say they're mine. But it was shared with me that these things belong to everyone. And so that's the way we try to convey them. That's the way we try to take an opportunities like this to kind of get it out there in the air. And we're trying to, with this new virtual experience, go about it in a manner that is respectful as we understand the system itself. And so we always start with a prayer. So Hamitakia Piushamalo, Exewi Chashamelo, Makia Wochikia, Kixapo Nitakia Pi, Wayaza Pi, Na Unchimakao Manina, Gixiapo Nitakia Pi, Naha, Chante Yoksi Jo Mani, okay. So thank you, my relatives. You can help me out by remembering those that are having a hard time possibly with their health, and those that are carrying mournful hearts that are walking around and try to contend with daily activities in spite of what they're personally going through. So just remember them. And then also, I just like to keep in mind that today is my son, Wawunka Pishni, Wichasha, Ampetu Tumpi, Yochbia. He come into this world 27 years ago on this day, and we're going to wish him that he enjoys this day of birth in a good way from where he's at. So my son is in what you would refer to as heaven, but we're going to have a little feast and a little amongst ourselves, amongst my family. We're kind of private like that, but a little cake and ice cream. So, but if you had relations with him in some way, somehow knew him, think of him today. It's his birthday. How? Ushimala Omakia. Atu kashila na wakanta gata dewia doba unchi makana makaina. Naku mitaki api wanagi makpe akdayage. Hocho ka akta hiopo. Unshi akeni daki api unchi makao mani wayatapi. Na gitsiapo nidaki api unchi makao mani chante yoksicho mani owi chakiapo ushi wichalapo. Atu kashila na wakantanka. Oyate oyansi chanku luta aga omani o wichakiapo ushi wichalapo. Wopila chichiapelo ampetu washte mayaku naha hechetuelo naha. Michinkshi na makvia ekta naha kiksuya. Okia cha naha makvia ekta mitaki epi mushianke naha omakia na ni mila otechike. Hemie ushimalo omakia. Tu kashila na wakantanka. Kiksiapo mitakiapi winukchalapi na wichakshalapi na wakanjapi hokshilapi winchinchalapi na kushkapi wikoshkapi wichozani upi. Wichoni chanku washte upi okia chawo ushi wichalapo. Tukashila na wakantanka giksiapo mitakiapi agichita uyate kizuya ekta. Wichasha bilen wiapile. Owichakiapo, Ushuichalapo, Chanku Ashte Upi. My grandfather, as we come to you on this beautiful day that you have gifted us with, we want to thank you for this opportunity to come in a gracious manner and try to share with those that are seeking this understanding of their purpose and their dedication in such a good way. And in my words and my language, this is what I shared. This is what I wish to convey to the rest of those that understand. And we always keep in mind our elderly folks, the Winuk Chalapi, Wichak Chalapi, those that are elderly that we hold dear to our hearts. And of course, for the sake of our children, our future, Tokeya Takia, the future that we try to inspire in a good way as we make good tracks in this red road, and we are hoping and wishing that they will follow them based on the guidance and the direction we receive from our elders. So we're going to pray for all of those. Won't speak Yehemet Kana, we know Chalapi, we Chak Chalapi, O Chakiapo, Ushu, we Chalapo. Look after them as they have gone to that place over there to be with you and all of their relatives. And so we're going to ask on this particular day that you watch over and help us to understand the importance of how we choose to make those tracks, what direction we choose to walk in, and again, understanding all of the involvement that we have as we spend time here, as we prepare ourselves to someday soon go be with our relatives on the other side. How hechituala wopila chichiapelo, how mitakia oasi.
Oh, Pidama.
Oh.
Beautiful prayer. Let's see here. So, as usual, we try to incentivize participation. I know we have some students that are on our webinar here with us, but if you're able, also at the same time, if you could give us a like, give us a share on our social media outlets on Facebook live stream. That's how you get your name in the hat for our weekly drawing. And I know some of you are hanging out there waiting for your jackets and whatnot. But see, we are at week 47, and so I want to announce the winners real quick before we get on to our programming. The winner of a Kindle Fire tablet for the week 46, last week's drawing, is Iona Star, ladies and gentlemen. Winner. Chicken dinner. Congratulations, Iona. Then we also have a Buffalo Chasers jacket. The winner of that jacket is Max Lone Fight. Winner. Chicken dinner. Congratulations, Iona and Max. You can retrieve your items at the War Eagle Vision here in Poplar at Student Services. If you're not around for whatever reason, just give us a call and give us your mailing address, and we'll send you on out those items. So congratulations to both of you. So as far as announcements, we are still registering students. I got the good word today from high above that we are extending registration through to next week. It was going to end this Friday. Now it's going till next Tuesday. So if you're on that edge and you're like, man, do I want to be a Buffalo Chaser? You have a couple extra days to mull it over and join our crew here. So I want to encourage you guys to do that. So, but other than that, I'll just turn it over to you, Dex, whatever content, whatever you want to share with us.
How me dake wana ake na hadaya ye hipi. Ushima lo ake ekchewi chashamia lo na omakia na agnagupta. Again, welcome my relatives. I'm just a common man. I really don't know too much, but you can surely help me out by just listening, eh? And as we do these things, if there are any questions or something, just put them in the chat and we'll try to recover them. I know that Toshka da Korea un mes I get it backwards, but you know me. So anyway, that he'll look after that, take care of that. You know, we're preparing to try to archive a lot of our cultural ceremonial perspective, and some we did a naming a couple of weeks ago, and of course the individual that was doing that, Chie Nicheole, chose in his own way, chose not to really didn't want to be recorded or something based on the way he feels about it, and he just wanted to maintain that. And the reason for that, it's not superstitious to not want to be recorded. They're not hiding. They got nothing to hide. They're not. What it really is doing, when you understand our value system, it's respecting that abstract learning. Okay, and that's what my older brother was wishing to kind of continue to convey with the rest of us as he proliferates this abstract learning process in a good way. And when you say abstract learning, that means experiential teaching, hands-on. And for those that may want to learn about various ceremonies, that with the utmost respect, one should humble themselves, take some tobacco, some gifts, a little something for that individual that you're wishing to become your teacher, and let them know what you'd like to do. Let them know what you'd like to learn and why. Okay, that's one of the basis for what it is that we're doing here to archive a lot of this stuff is kind of give some legitimacy, if you will, to who and what we are. That's called integrity, eh? Integrity of the Dakota, Nakota, Lakota people that live here on the res. And so that people will learn how to respect in a good way this diversity that's represented in these different ways of pursuing a healthy lifestyle, for lack of a better word. My healthy lifestyle is not yours. Yours is not mine, but they're different. That doesn't mean one is wrong and one is right. And that's a Dakota way of thought, because again, we always afford everybody the right of their own perspective, eh? The right of their own integrity. We afford them that. And again, that's a very respectful thing to do as we realize the importance of individuality and how the Creator has given each and every one of us our own mind, our own thought process, our own personality, our own characteristics as it relates to how we pursue the center. And when I say pursue the center, what I really, how are my qualities based on my character and my ability to carry that character going to benefit others? That's another Dakota, Lakota, Nakota way of thinking. All that we do, we usually, when we find ourselves, we do it for the sake of others, because we know in that preparation of where we're eventually going to go, be with the rest of our relatives, we'd like to leave a legacy. That's the footprints that we talk about when we Wochekia, when we cry when it becomes a heartfelt cry, which you would call prayer. That's how we pray, for the sake of the future. The future, eh? And in that process, it's important that we can respect that diversity, that different way. And then it helps our young people understand the importance of that individuality. I always say the diversity and the uniqueness of our culture that's based on natural law should become an enrichment and enhancement for the sake of the growth of our young people. Well, that's to encourage them. That's to help them understand the importance of their own individuality based on that uniqueness that they carry, but at the same time, include themselves in that diverse way of the world as it expands their worldview. And as they go out there and they wish to continue to understand the importance of their existence here, as they prepare to someday soon go be with their relatives on the other side, eh? And then what that does, it provides us with courage. It provides us with strength, and we refer to that as brehichiapo. Brehichiapo. And to make yourself strong is really what it means. not in muscle, but in mind and in spirit and in heart. You make yourself strong uh, for the sake of others. And what a more beautiful way to live than not to live for yourself, but to understand that the Creator made you to include yourself in this whole mix of what we would refer to as Wamakashka, all of God's creation, or all of this creation that's here, including the plants, the insects, the animals, the two-legged, the four-legged, the winged. It includes everyone. What is our position as humans? What is that? Well, to help us come to that understanding in our cultural way of life, we have involved ceremony. And even more so after the Pate Sangwi brought the pipe, even more so with those 7 ceremonies that go along with the pipe, the understanding that it's not a dogmatic way to approach things, but it's more out of respect for the protocol that's been provided. And again, that was shared with us to strengthen us, not strengthen Pate Sangwi, not to make her look good or holy or anything like that, but she brought that in representation of this higher power of the spiritual energy to make life better for us. See how cool that is? You see how we kind of live like that, and it's kind of like when the elders are observing you, they watch you, and not to criticize or judge or make fun of you, but they watch you to see how strong you are. Can you handle a good debate, not an argument, a debate? Can you can you handle a good difference of opinion, which would make you a better man or a woman in respects to raising your own children and uniting your family and bonding? See how that all kind of fits together? It's just a thing that it makes us better people. And in that, there's a certain protocol that we follow. There's certain songs that we sing. There's certain, out of respect for those things that have guided us, especially our relatives on the other side, and that spiritual entity, we call upon it to provide direction, eh? And it works. Oh man, it's hard to explain, but you know, once you try it, once you've done it, once you've asked for help, and it works, then you can understand what I'm saying, eh? It's something, and we don't do it. We don't do it for that. We don't do it for help for ourselves. We do it for support and help for others. But at the same time, when you have a very ektia chante, a very humble heart, then it just kind of you just kind of fit in there, and it's an amazing uh, thing to realize that you had a beautiful day. You did this, you did that, you did what you could without really killing yourself doing it, but at least, hey, what little I got, and we're taught that what little we have, we're not stingy with. We're taught to give it away, eh? But not to the point to where uh, it'll hurt yourself or your family. But somebody else has extra, and so they share it, eh? And that helps us deal with that virtue of generosity. And then we don't get caught up in the time elements. That helps us deal with patience. We don't get so caught up in acquiring materialism, and so that helps us to deal with that understanding the compassion and empathy that needs to be shared and expressed. That when you got too much, you give it away. You don't act some way bold, eh? You don't act greedy. You don't act. That's not our way. And so when we have lots, we always share it. We're going to go through a hunka ceremony here tomorrow for a young man that the family that observed him have been watching him for years, and they've been supporting him in a good way. And it's not because he's pitiful, it's because he's got indication or showing signs of greatness, eh? And so the family wants to hunka him and help him understand that wherever he chooses to go with this positive lifestyle, he has the support that he needs, eh? He's kind of like in Indian country, we don't have orphans. That's what they mean when they say that. You know, we have a ate hunka and ate ina hunka, like that. Ate adopted father, adopted mother is what I'm trying to say. And they do that because, again, they're not pitying you per se, but they're wishing to encourage you and support you to continue to walk this red road, because that's what my dad would say. He said, sometimes my son, he said, you gotta really look after that hunka relationship even more than your own blood relationship. He said, because in spite of your character defects, somebody still wants you in their family, eh? And so I was kind of afraid because nobody wanted to adopt me ever because I was such a skinhead. But now I got, oh man, I think at last count I had 8 mothers and had like 6 dads and buku, lots and lots of brothers and sisters all over Indian country as a result of my travels and whatnot. I was trying to maintain some sense of dignity and honor for the representation of the Assiniboine and Sioux people here on Fort Peck. And so a lot of people seen that, and I never went and asked them to adopt me or anything. They always took it upon themselves. And so I have some very dear relatives that I do hold in high regard as it relates to that hunka ceremony, eh? And we're going to try to do that for this young man tomorrow, and hopefully it'll encourage him to stay on a comfortable road. We can't even say a good road or a bad road, a comfortable one for him, eh? Because we're not wishing to dictate a system to him that, oh, this is good for you. How do we know what's good for him? Only he does. And so we're hoping his choices will be good, and he'll understand the energy that he carries is always good when you're helpful towards others. And that's what he has excelled in, eh? He helps the ceremonial men, the wapia wichasha, wapia wiapi, inipi, gaga, when they make sweat, he helps just and unconditionally. He's always there carrying rocks, getting water, getting this, getting that, and always there to make fire, to cut wood, to do all these things. And this is something we'd like to instill in our young people, to understand their role. And that's a form of that teaching as they go along these stages of life. And so the protocol in the ceremony is important for them to acknowledge your own strengths, and then realize that, hey, I can share this with people. I can do this. I may not know much, but boy, I'm sure energetic, and I can take this energy and apply it towards something that would be useful and beneficial for others. See, that's basically our thought process. And if you ever look at a ceremony, you'll see that those that are involved, even in the 7 ceremonies of the pipe, it's an opportunity for you to get strong. The Hamblechia, the Inipi, the like Hunka is a part of it. And no, the Sundance, Wiwayang Wachi, the Tibitanga Wachi, that's a part of it. And there's one in there that was coming of age of the women, helps them recognize that transition from a little girl to a woman now, and helps them realize the importance of the responsibilities they have. And these young men going from Koshka to Wicha to Wichasha. And in that, there's a milestone that they would achieve that really hasn't been acknowledged as we should do it. You know, like the ceremony of Gahominy. A lot of people don't understand the protocol that belongs with that, but it's an opportunity based on the origins of the owl dance, is to talk good about the young ones, the Koshkabi, we Koshkabi. You speak good about them, and you invite their young people to come out and dance, not to show them off, but to let the people in the crowd recognize those individuals that are doing well, that are honorable individuals. And again, and let the younger people that are younger than strive and aspire to hope like they have an uncle or an aunt that would really honor them in that way and talk about them and invite all of their buddies, all of their peers out on the dance floor to help them to recognize that would be their support system, eh? And you see, it's an amazing way of life if we choose to live the Dakota, Lakota, Nakona value system in the manner in which it was intended. I was watching, that's for, that discussion is for another individual, but tomorrow they're going to have a Hunka ceremony, and we're going to really try to do it as well as we can. And I think the key thing and the most important thing is we're going to archive it. There's songs that are going to go along with that need to be sung during Hunka. There's markings on the witnesses that needs to be done with red paint as it relates to the Hunka. And witnesses need to be present at the Hunka so people can understand that, oh, I was at this Hunka ceremony now, and did you know what's her name adopted this one? And see, and then that becomes an official adoption ceremony. And you can use that in the state when you want to adopt, like old grandmas and old grandpas, and they want to adopt their grandchildren. You can apply that Hunka ceremony towards the needs of the state. If that medicine man that did it signs that paper, they can definitely affect and make the life of that young child better based on the Social Security. Hey, you see, and that's not why it was done. But now a lot of our relatives are recognizing the recognition in an official capacity of the Hunka ceremony itself. But that's totally not why it's done. That has little or no. But just think about it, the positive effects where we can identify with our own ceremony, where it can apply to a non-Indian's way of living. That's the point I'm making, because we would never do that to benefit ourselves financially, kind of like that, eh? So just to keep it in perspective. But these things, there's so many ceremonies that cover so many social aspects of how we get along. And long ago there was a power in numbers, there was strength in numbers. That's why we're tribalistic, and we lived in these communes, which they call tribes, and in that everybody had a responsibility, everybody had a duty, not to kill yourself trying to work and live up to your responsibility, but just real kind of easygoing and taking it easy sort of a thing. But you never really had downtime. You was always making yourself useful. If it wasn't chopping wood or getting water or hunting or fishing or getting ceremonial stuff, gathering medicines, all these things, or making new teepees, getting teepee poles. There was always something to do. But if you didn't feel good enough about yourself, you would never be able to do that. If you were taught how to become a drunkard, you would be one. See, I'm ACOA. I'm an adult child of an alcoholic, and that's what I lived, because that's what I was taught. And so in that prospect, I didn't know I could do all the rest of these other things, because my poor dad did the best he could with what he had. And as kids are such skinheads, I imagine a drink every once in a while really helped him out. But that's why I'm an adult child of alcoholic, is because that's the way I learned to come up for the sake of survival. Because again, my dad was a Sagada. He was a half-breed, half Indian, half white. So the whites didn't like him because he's Indian, and the Indians didn't like him because he's white. So then he had 5 kids to bring up all by himself. And he was a single handicapped Indian man, eh? And I think he did a pretty good job, because all of my sisters and brothers kind of went on and been a positive force in the community. And that's reality, because we never really tried to take anything from anybody, try to be anything other than what our intentions were as it relates to sharing some of these things. And so in that, my dad did that. And You know, when I was young, I always wonder how come all my, like a lot of my cousins would call my dad Uncle Geezy. And I never did really pursue it. I just thought that was a nickname, Geezy, eh? And finally, it come to me when I start living in my culture. My grandma was a very traditional Dakota woman, and so each one of her children uh, had Indian names and had them at a very young age. And my dad, he had hazel eyes, because he was half breed, so he had the hazel eyes, and his Indian name was Ishta Gizi. Cool? Is that cool or what? And so if you it means yellow eyes, like gizi, kind of like hazel. Gizi is kind of yellow brown mixed, eh? Hazel eyes. That was his Indian name, and that's what that old man gave him. And then they cut that in half, and so they just called him Gizi, Uncle Gizi, eh? But his real name was Ishta Gizi. Oh man, I thought that was cool. But anyway, that's what it takes sometimes to really understand the connection that we have with this uh, guidance that we receive from the spiritual aspect. Everybody, everyone has a connection in a spiritual way with our relatives that have gone to the other side. And until you really pursue it or look inwardly and find out what's in your heart, and then you start speaking from your heart. We're so callous sometimes. We think the defense is the walls that we build up around us, but when we have this faith, this faith in who and what we are, we can knock those walls down and get rid of all those little facades that we think we're fooling people with, and just be ourselves, knowing that the spiritual energy will always look after us based on our intent. And that's the way we're taught. That's the way the lessons that have been given to us through ceremony, through our teachers, the elderly people, the ones we hold dear to our hearts, and even some of the things that we get involved in based on our own actions, our abilities and our inability to function at whatever capacity we need to. Sometimes we're just helpers. Sometimes we don't have to lead. Sometimes we just kind of sit on the sidelines and be observers. Eh? And what does Paulo do? You got people out there singing. They could sing the heck out of these songs, hit that drum, and just make you feel good. Some are interacting to that drum music, feeling that medicine. Some are sitting on the sideline, just observing the beautiful colors, the beautiful sounds, the sound of the bells, and just getting. And so each of us has a responsibility to that center. And however we choose to do it, we need to have that understanding, that ability just to accept who and what we are. Because usually in every family, there's one that usually takes on a lot of our cultural value system and just runs with it. They just can just do great things. Usually one in every family. So not that all the family goes out there, but it just works out that way. It's just the natural way of seeing things. And then that representation of that family is there. And you'll see the old people just like it for you. Oh man, when you see them, they'll just shake your hand and who's your grandma? Who's your grandpa? Who's your dad? Oh yeah, okay. And then they just encourage you, eh? My aunt Emma Bushman was like that with me, and she was just so happy one of my dad's kids got involved in this. And oh man, my auntie just supported me so much, and she was so old, but yet she just loved our culture. And just man, some of the stuff she shared with me, people wouldn't believe that. uh, some of the stuff she helped me with, my dancing and all these things. And of course her daughters and her granddaughters were so artful in sewing and making things and stuff like this. And oh man, my aunt Emma is probably one of my biggest supporters in my dancing career. But it's not about me or her. It's about the way of life in which is represented there in a true sense of that word. We don't have to be all feathers and beads to be part of it. We can just, hey, help them out with some cloth, help them out with some tobacco, help them out with a little gas money for maybe the chainsaws, or a little water, a little food when they're going out to eat. I mean, going out to get wood, maybe make them a little lunch and send it with them or stuff like that. So we don't always have to be active in that, but yet that's an indication of respect for who and what we are as First Nations people. And based on that, that's where that protocol really needs to be important to follow. And that's why tomorrow, when we video this Hunka ceremony, we'd like our people to understand there's a way that we do that, eh? And and if you still just claim somebody as a brother, sister, mom, or a dad, that's okay too, as long as that respect is there. Because you know, they always try to put degrees on relationships and stuff like that. It's my understanding you don't really refer to somebody as a kola or a koda or a kona until that relationship has been established. So it's just not arbitrary. It's just not ambiguous. You have had to have a relationship with that individual to help you recognize some of the stuff that you have in common, some of the thoughts, some of the intentions, some of the wishes that you have. And based on that, if you guys are in common mindset, you'll walk together on this red road, and that's your kola. But it's got to be established. You just don't call anybody your kola, or your koda. Does that make sense, Toshka? Yeah, yeah. You see, and that's where we're coming to, and that's what ceremony is. We sit there, humble ourselves to the protocol, and observe and watch and see how it's done, and again, feel that the method in which that individual does it. My dad told me, he said, okay, my son, I'm going to share with you these 4 ways in which to do it in respects to the protocol. But in between those 4 ways, you can implement your own personality in there. So when you do ceremony, you don't change those 4 steps that I shared with you, but you can also incorporate your own personality, your own character into how ceremonies are conducted. And some are just really strict, eh? Sit down, don't say nothing, don't talk. Oh, okay, I don't like those guys. I don't go to those guys. But the ones that really are enjoyable, relaxed, and show no fear, and because some of these ceremonies are very serious, don't show any fear and just make the people feel comfortable. Those are the ones you can feel it, man. You can just feel the effectiveness of the medicine man or the healer that's there, eh? And that's what it does. And then when you leave there, you'll be stronger, you'll be strengthened, your mind will be open, you'll be a little bit more understanding of your purpose and your dedication, not wishing to prove anything, how Indian you are, or how this, that, or the other you are, how holy you are, but just to understand the beauty in having heartfelt cries, which you would refer to as prayer for the sake of others. Eh? Oh man, that's too cool. What do you think of all of that, Toshka? Am I just rambling, or is it making sense? Or
Oh man, it's you covered a lot of different topics, and it was really good, really helpful. I'm really looking forward to seeing what yourself and this other individual, and then Mr. National Geographic videographer Neil deGrasse is able to put together and help us archive additional material. So, and then over the years, I've heard like Hunka, Hunka, Hunka dad, Hunka sister, whatever. But it'll be interesting to see what the history of that ceremony was.
yeah,
So I think like when we talked about like the history of the drum,
yeah,
that was really insightful.
Yeah.
It kind of gives a little context on why it was created and why it's important, why it's needed. And in addition to the the person running its perspective on it too. So that'll be interesting. We can definitely archive that and we can share it with our listeners. So I'm grateful that we have this opportunity and there's someone that can show, it's willing to document it.
Yes, yeah. And that's the key is and just because somebody doesn't want doesn't mean they're wrong or they're afraid. Like I said, my older brother just wanted to respect that the abstract learning. And so we got to open our minds up to understand that it's not black and white like most of us are taught to think. There's some gray area in there, especially when we're Indians, to always try to be my glass is half full kind of a thought process, eh?
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, just be real optimistic about things because there's always another day. And although we struggle, the struggle will make me stronger. And shit, we'll get a couple of birdies every once in a while, Toshka.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. A couple of chip shots and a putt, and it's good to go. One of the real cool things that I had heard, and I don't know, maybe you heard a different version, but one of the origins that I had heard about the Hunka ceremony was that it originated because there was the Dakota, and then there was this other tribe, Ricker, I think.
Yeah.
It was used as a mechanism, a way to promote peace instead of war.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Way cool. So then even for little things on a smaller scale, maintaining that harmony.
Yeah.
Right? You know, instead of having that conflict,
Yeah.
things kind of get weird, whatever. So I think that's one of those cool things. Hopefully that he can explain a little bit more about that, and we can hopefully share some of that stuff one of these times on here.
You see, my grandpa, they call him Lala Joe Feinby. My grandmas used to go down and visit him all the time. He was our blood. He was their blood uncle. He was my grandpa, and he would tell a story, and I'm sure Keith will share that tomorrow during that time, and we're going to video it, the history of the Hunka. But again, it was brought on spiritually to bring about peace. Wola kota, makasitom. Wola kota is like a peaceful way, a harmonized way of getting along. And just like the eagle staff, you know, if you look at the eagle staff, it's bent. At one time, it was straight and it was a spear. It was an article, instrument of war. But when they continued to understand the importance of the Wachipi, the celebration of life, they said, we're not coming here to kill or hurt anybody. We want to make peace. So they took that spear and they bent it over, and it became that, like that, with all these feathers hanging off of it. And then that's the eagle staff. But at one time, it was intended for war. It was an instrument of war until they bent that over and then made it an instrument of peace. And so that's what it's all about. And see, those sorts of things, a lot of our people don't understand. And those feathers on the eagle staff, what they used to represent, and they probably still do in a lot of cases, is these brave and courageous acts of war on the battlefield. And if you really get into it and you define wapaha, what they refer to as the staff, is you'll find out that it defines brave and courageous acts, deeds, brave and courageous deeds on the battlefield. That's what that originally intended to do, but now we call it a flag. But as we do these things, there's a lot more history, and that's what we're trying to entice our people to get into. Learn about yourself, learn about your history, learn about your culture. I don't care if you're a European and people say this and say that, you have a history somewhere, and just pursue it, because that'll really define who and what you are and give you a better understanding of your thought process, help you to convey that and transfer that to your children so they understand that, hey, we used to live like this. We used to live good. Well, I hate to say that, but, and again, you know, that's why we remain in a ceremonial or spiritual perspective. That's one of the reasons why we remain apolitical and apersonal. We don't have a political agenda we're pursuing, nor is there a personal agenda in which we're pursuing. It's just totally inclusiveness of everybody and everything. You see how cool that is?
Yeah, heck yeah. Heck yeah. Let's see. I wanted to share this before we wrap it up here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, registration extended through September 7th. Again, we have over 30 degrees and programs to choose from. It's a good time to be a buffalo chaser. It's a good time to be a student at Fort Peck, because we have many fee waivers, tuition waivers, scholarships, many other resources. I see some of these.
COVID money. Tell them about that COVID money, man.
Yeah, the COVID. If once you're registered here, there's if you're a full-time student, 12 or more credits, not 12 or more classes, but usually most classes are about 3 credits. It's basically 4 classes, so 12 credits. That means you'll get, as long as you stay in school and stay registered, the first installment, I believe I seen was $950, September 30th. The next month, another $950.
Yeah.
And for those 4 months while you're in school here, $950 sent, not to your bill, not to if you owe somebody money, it goes right to that student. And then it's money in the bank. And then if you're a part-time student, let's say you only need six credits to graduate, you'll get about half that amount. I think it's about $425, something like that, in those installments. Okay, then there's many other options too. I see some of these students walk around here with brand new laptops. What the heck? Back when I was a student, it was just Lean Street, man. Didn't have to get none of that stuff. But now, in addition to that, we have computers here to kind of get you started when you register. But we have numerous computer labs here around campus here in Wolf Point, here in Poplar. But also that laptop there, man. You can take those home, and then we even give you internet. We hook you up, man. With yeah, and then so
food cards.
Yeah. I'm not sure if they're still doing the food stipends this semester. I don't think they technically are, but they replaced it with that $950.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's what they put all that money into that. That was the food stipend. They added that on top of some other resources. Boom.
Yeah.
We're making you an offer you just can't refuse. So again, we're extending registration through next Tuesday till 4:30. So if you have any questions, just give us a call, stop on over, check us out on the website, fpcc.edu. What other cool things do we got going on here? We got a bow making workshop. We're going to go invited Tahanshi, Jeremy. He'll be here. I'm going to put a flyer out the next, few days. We'll have open registration for that. I need at least 10 students, at least 10 of you guys, and then we'll hook you up with a bow stave, just turn you into savage warriors with that bow, man. So it's really cool. Jeremy will be facilitating that workshop. There's that. What else do we got? We have some of us will be going to a language workshop next month, sponging up all this information. And I think even actually Earl, from what I was told, he's doing a presentation at this conference on the Dream Drum.
Yeah.
What else do we got going on here? Many things. In fact, I need to get a hold of Earl and lock him into a weekly time slot for this language immersion hour, basically.
Oh,
that project did get funded. So if you know any fluent speakers and we wanted to archive a fluent conversation for about an hour, it doesn't matter if they live around Fort Peck, send them on over. I'll put them up in my office, but I want to connect them with individuals like Earl and whoever else wants to join us, and then we'll make a webinar out of it. And everybody else that wants to check it out could just kind of watch some of these. Usually they're old timers speak, and whoever, even if they're Nakon, Dakod, Lakol, we'll hook you up, man, and then we'll pay them for their services a little bit for helping us out, and then we document, archive that. We did get approved for some land-based stuff, projects, so we'll be cruising around in a van trying to gather some medicines. That way we're able to provide students those opportunities we talked about, Dex, with experiential hands-on opportunities. At the same time, we're helping out some of these communities, these leaders, different groups of individuals that carry ceremonies. We're able to hook them up a little bit. Our students will be able to make those connections. What else do we got going on here?
Toshka, what the college is really trying to help our people understand, especially those that are involved in the college itself as students, is that sense of community. Hey, they're trying to bring about these things, and they're wishing to entice you with laptops and this, that, and other. But what they're really wanting to do is share with you an opportunity to receive an education that would make it better for you, not for them. So they're not, they could survive on just basic fundamental stuff because they have and run it like a business. But because they want to try to help understand the importance of community and identifying with your community, your resources, your references, all right there, and utilizing them, that's that sense of community. I think that COVID has brought about this togetherness, this bonding. And so through that, the community college here, as under the Buffalo Chasers auspice, is helping you understand how well it makes you feel to belong to something, right, Tushka? We had this discussion
Heck
earlier.
yeah.
Yeah, and then what that will do to you once you belong to that is how you feel about yourself, how this bonding issue is important. Then you look at your kids and realize it would be really important to my kids to understand that we're bonding, because a lot of times when we grew up, we never seen our parents because they're working, trying to feed us and pay the bills and stuff. And so they didn't have very much time for us. But now we want to reestablish a value system that would incorporate time for our young people to really encourage them. And what a better way than from a community perspective, kind of in that way, based on an opportunity that the college through Elijah and of course President Gorno and their board of directors to really keep the community strength in mind as it relates to what we're doing with this podcast and what the students, the Buffalo Chasers, will represent when they're out there in the communities. They'll bring about that good stuff. And so it's good energy, positive spiritual energy that we're going to help out with. And the Fort Peck Community College, as the Buffalo Chasers Society, is trying to bring that to the forefront. Watch that.
That's what actually Tommy always says is people helping people is powerful stuff. Heck yeah. So I want to encourage you to take advantage of these opportunities. And again, anybody that's listening to Dexy Tommy, Dexy Earl, you enjoy some of this programming, give us a shout out or send us a message. The other day from there was an individual that sent us a message. I had a chance to talk to him on the phone. He was really excited, but we had talked a little bit about the identity, the things that he'd learned and wanted to share with us. And so it was good to get some positive feedback, know that we're kind of doing some good things here. So we again appreciate you, Dexy Tommy, for sharing with us today. Relatives, we'll see you next week. Petiwash Deyu Hapo.
Oh.
Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya 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 hey yo hey yo Fort Peck Community College uki epido yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi no yo wata pebi agi ktabi ihaji ya bino hey yo hey ha ya hey ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey ha ya